to help judges who are looking at these cases to be able to rely on the guidelines.
Which Congress has declined to do.
Senator, in that case, we have the statute that Congress has enacted concerning penalties, and we have judges who are doing their level best to make sure that people are held accountable as they need to be in our society in a fair and just way.
Mr. Chairman, my time's expired. Thank you, Judge. I have no further questions at this time.
Just checking with my staff. So the original statute was passed in 2003, the Scalia decision 2005, the Booker decision?
So the original statute that I'm talking about, I'm just thinking, I felt like it was in the 80s.
We think there may
in
have been
2003.
2003.
I'm all right,
and
then
by
Justice Scalia, the Booker decision made the guidelines advisory, so that even though judges have to calculate them, they are no longer binding. And what it meant in the statute is that the guidelines became one factor among many that judges consider at sentencing.
I'm not going to opine on Justice Scalia and his conduct and decision as it relates to the overall topic. I hope we all agree that we want to do everything in our power, reasonably within our power, to lessen the incidence of pornography and exploitation of children. You have made that clear. That is your position too. But I just want to tell you, Congress doesn't have clean hands in this conversation. We haven't touched this now for 15, 16, or 17 years. And you aren't the only one who faced this kind of a challenge with the cases before you. I said this morning, and it bears repeating, in United States versus Klotz, Trump appointed Judge Sarah Pitlick, Senator Hawley's choice for the Eastern District of Missouri, sentenced an individual convicted of possession of child pornography to only 60 months, well below the 135 to 168-month sentence recommended by the guidelines.
Mr. Chairman, you've mentioned this
Let me
now.
finish. I'll finish, and then of course I'll recognize you. Senator Hawley, you've said some very powerful things in support of this judge, but clearly she faced a situation where she decided she would not follow the guidelines and took a sentence of less than half of what they recommended. We have created a situation because of our inattention and unwillingness to tackle an extremely controversial area in Congress and left it to the judges. And I think we have to accept some responsibility for that, Senator.
I just wanted to say, Chairman Durbin, since you mentioned Judge Pitlick in the Klotz case, she followed the prosecutor's recommendation in that case. As I've said over and over, part of my concern with Judge Jackson is that she has not followed the prosecutor's sentences. She didn't in the Hawkins case we were just talking about, or the guidelines. And I'm happy we can have a policy debate about whether or not the guidelines are too lenient. I would argue in this era of exploding child pornography, they're not too lenient at all. I think you were right the first time when you voted in 2003 to make them tougher.
I will just say that I don't know if you sponsored a bill to change this. I'll be looking for it. But I will tell you that there isn't a long line of people waiting to co-sponsor this controversial issue. If we're going to tackle it, we should, but we should concede in the meantime that we've left judges in the lurch in many of these situations. There is no clarity in this situation, and I think to hold this judge responsible for the overall situation is to ignore our nonfeasance, malfeasance, whatever it might be, and lack of responsibility in dealing with this. Senator Hirono.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.